Good morning. I'm a little late today. I woke up not being able to stand up straight, so I kind of had to fix that first. So it's made me late for work, but I know y'all don't want to go a week without hearing my voice, so here I am. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about what to do when you find a dog or when a dog finds you, because that does happen a lot. People will say, hey, a dog showed up on my property, blah, blah, blah. So we get a lot of calls about this, and they want to know if we can take it, and we can't, because that dog is considered a stray. People go, but it has a collar. We're sure it has a home. That's not what stray actually means. Stray means that it strayed from its home. The assumption is 90% of the dogs out there do have a home, and they're out there running around, because normally that's true, right? Somebody is taking care of them. If it's a feral dog, it's not going to come up to you and hang out and want to come in your house. So if it's a true stray dog that has never been around people, it's not going to come up and want to come in your house. So if it's doing that, it does have an owner somewhere. Whether they're being responsible or going to come forward, I can't promise you that. But any dog that is found with collars, tags, don't matter, it's considered a stray, a dog at large. And so you do need to contact the dog pound. Now, you might be able to hang on to that dog physically while you're trying to find the owner, but you still need to let the dog pound know that you have the dog and give them the description and where it was found or where it showed up at, so that if the owner is looking for them, they're going to contact the dog wardens, because if they call me, I'm going to say, call the dog wardens. And if you don't tell the dog warden you have the dog, then you could be missing out on finding the owner. Now, some people don't want to hand over the dog to the dog pound, and I'm pretty sure they work with you on that, and they're pretty fine with you hanging on to the dog, but you do legally have to hold on to the dog for at a minimum of 3 days, I believe, before you can do anything else, like surrender it somewhere or give it to someone. And we need to be aware of that, and we need to practice that, because if someone's animal truly did just get lost and they are looking for it, they need a minimum of 3 days is very not enough, I don't think, honestly, but it is what the rule is. And we need to give them those 3 days to find it. Just because a dog is loose doesn't mean the owners suck. Okay, I've had dogs jump out my window, push out screens. I've known, it wasn't my dog, but I know of a dog who took an air conditioner out by pushing it out and then escaped. I mean, some dogs can weirdly, out of nowhere, decide they're going to escape. A child leaves a gate open, a child leaves a door open. A mail carrier opens a gate and doesn't shut it. I mean, random things can happen. And, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, when we see the same dog running over and over again, now we've hit a different thing. But if it's the first time that dog has been out running, we need to give them the chance to do something. Maybe somebody passed away and they just brought it to their house and the dog is freaked out and it ran. There's a lot of reasons things can happen. There unfortunately could be like a fire and the dog escapes and now it's scared, or a car wreck and the dog escapes. So we need to do that. So, but what else do we need to do? I do get this question a lot too, about the dog pound and, are they going to euthanize it after 3 days? First of all, they don't euthanize dogs just randomly for the heck of it, unless the dog has aggression or they're completely out of space and they have no choice. And I know that the dog warden there does a good job of trying really hard not to euthanize for space, which is why she will turn away owner surrenders, because she has to handle those loose dogs first. She works with rescues to send them off to rescues, so that if they're not leaving her dog pound, then she will look for rescues every single week. That doesn't mean she can find them. It doesn't mean that she's going to get them out, because she can't force rescues to take them. And then right now, in the animal world, dogs and cats especially, because that's the ones I'm focused on, the world is saturated with these animals and not enough places to go. So it's not up to the shelter or the dog pound to be able to get the animals out. All they can do is present them and hope that somebody picks them, right? Yes, they do have a euthanasia policy that after 3 months, the animal will be reevaluated to see if it's still adoptable. 3 months in a dog pound is a long time. And honestly, it's nothing different than we would do. If at any point we have a dog in our facility that becomes unadoptable, doesn't, you know, becomes aggressive for some reason, you know, I'm not adopting that dog out either. And so that still happens even in what everybody likes to refer to as no-kill shelters. You know, it doesn't mean that nothing ever happens. You know, I've had dogs that only made it a week before they were trying to, you know, eat other dogs. And I mean like the sight of them. And then when that happens, the staff is trying to move them around kennels and stuff, and they're going after the dogs. The staff is in danger. Most people don't want to adopt a dog that's not good with other dogs because they worry about the neighbors. They worry about them escaping. They worry about their family and friends having dogs. They worry about, you know, being liable, or that they might want to get another dog eventually, things like that. That's why you'll see a lot of the dogs that are in shelters for a long period. It's because they're not good with dogs, kids, a lot of people, cats, like they have all these restrictions. Very rarely do you see a dog sitting in a shelter for 6 months, 2 years, and it's great with everything. It does happen sometimes. And a lot of times that's because it's a bully breed, and bully breeds already have a lot against them because it's hard to rent with bully breeds. So you do need to contact the dog pound. You can send them a Facebook message. You can call and leave a voicemail. You can stop in. They do need to know what the dog looks like because it doesn't do much good. And pictures are better than just a description, because I will tell you, in 15 years, it is amazing the way an owner will describe their dog versus what a shelter staff person will describe their dog. And they might be talking about the same dog, but the description is different. So a picture is worth 1,000 words in this case. So you want to do that. The other conundrum that can happen is if you don't tell the dog warden and you don't work out something with them that, hey, I'll hold on to the dog for X amount of days if you're okay with that. And then if that doesn't work and I don't find the owner, then can I bring the dog in? You need to make those arrangements, because a lot of times what happens is people are just trying to do it on their own. They hold on to the dog for a week, 2 weeks, a month. And then they go to the dog warden and say, I found this stray, but it was last month. It was 2 weeks ago. Well, when you take that animal into your home, into your garage, into your yard, and you tie it up, you just became the keeper of that dog, because the dog can no longer go home. The dog no longer has a choice, and you have chosen to hold on to that dog. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying this is how the law looks at it. And the law says you held on to that dog, it's yours, and you refused to let it go home, possibly. And so you took responsibility for it. You've been feeding it, caring for it. Some people even take them to the vet. All of that is telling the law that that is your dog. So then when you call the dog warden in 2 weeks, a month, and say, I found this stray, guess what? They're going to say it's not a stray anymore. You should have contacted them when you found it. You need to contact them when you found it. And that is not us. People still get us mixed up. We are not the dog pound. We are not the dog warden. I have a humane agent who handles neglect and abuse. She does not handle stray, loose dogs. We don't take in stray or loose dogs. The dog pound has 40 kennels because they take in stray and loose dogs, so they need a lot of kennels. We have 16. We take in owner surrenders and we pull from places like the dog pound when we have space. But we have 2 different jobs, we are 2 different entities, and we have 2 different things that we do. And so I don't have a lot of kennel space. If I took in all the strays that people ask me to take in, I would never be able to help an owner. I would never be able to pull a mom and puppies from another shelter that's living in a kennel outside in the cold because they don't have room and they are forced to take in everything they find. I wouldn't be able to do that if I'm taking in all these loose dogs who have owners, by the way. Again, they do somewhere. Because truly feral dogs are not going to come up to you. They're not going to try to come into your house. They're not going to come and find you. You might see them, but they're not going to let you near them. Now, that doesn't mean that some of those dogs you see that won't, hey, chill, that won't let you near them are feral dogs. No, there's fearful dogs. There's plenty of owned dogs that just aren't good with strangers. Or they normally are when they're at home, but now they're in a new place and they don't know where they're at. Dogs do dumb things. They follow their nose, they follow their eyes, they run off for something they hear, and then they get there and then they calm down and everything's over and they realize, crap, I don't know how to get home because I didn't pay attention on how I got here. It would be like chasing some blue car through towns and then going, wait, I don't know where I'm at. I don't know how I got home because I was focused on the blue car and I traveled all the right and left on the roads following the blue car. I didn't look at the street signs. I didn't look at the highways. I didn't look at where I was. So dogs do that. You might also want to contact dog pounds around your county, even if you are in the middle of Highland County. Guess what? Sometimes these dogs have traveled across county lines. Sometimes people have picked them up and driven them somewhere, and then maybe the dog escaped from them. Maybe they changed their mind. Who knows what, but they do get out there. I had 2 dogs leave my yard once, and within 30 minutes, they were 5 miles down the road. 30 minutes. Fast. It can happen. So don't assume that it's a Highland County dog just because you found it in Highland County, because they don't have to follow roads. So it might take me 35 minutes to go from Greenfield to Hillsboro, but it won't take a dog 35 minutes because they just travel through the woods, the fields, the yards. They don't go left and around and back and forth. They just go straight wherever they're going. So it cuts their time in half at least on how to get somewhere. So we need to be aware of those things. So when you call us and you tell us you have a stray, we're going to tell you to go to the dog pound. If you tell us that you have a dog you want to surrender, we're going to tell you our process, which is go fill out the form. We'll look at it. We'll get back to you. The days of just walking in, dropping off your own dog, they are all over. You're going to need a prep. Nowhere has space for you to just walk in and leave the dog, okay? And also, if you try to pawn off a own dog as a stray, believe me, we know, we've seen it. Last week, somebody tried to drop off what looked like a shepherd mix, and they were like, we found it as a stray. Really? Because that dog's walking real comfortable right next to you, not startled in the least, not concerned about you, just walking calmly wherever you go. That's a pretty good sign that dog knows you pretty well. A freaked out dog that you just grabbed the leash and trapped it from going home, they don't act like that. We do have some sense. We can tell these things. It's pretty common that we can tell the difference between whether it's a stray or an owned. And if you truly do find a stray and you want to give it to the shelter, at my shelter, because you feel like it's safer, I'm going to charge you $50 as an owner surrender because you're telling me it's an owner surrender. And I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of questions. And if you don't know anything about this dog, that's going to be a red flag. So I realize that telling these things can cause issues, but I also think that people don't understand. Because yes, 15, 20 years ago, you could walk in and say, I don't want my dog anymore, and you could hand it over and someone would usually take it. But we can't do that anymore, especially if you don't want shelters like mine or our local dog pound euthanizing for space. Because once we're full, there is no other option. This is the part that people forget. I have 16 kennels. She has 40. If you try to give us the 1 or 2 more past what we're already full, where are we supposed to put it? We don't have magical fosters ready to just jump in 5 minutes and take that animal. We have to have a place to keep it safely. I personally do not pop up kennels. First of all, I don't have anywhere. If you've ever been to our shelter, there's nowhere to put up a pop-up kennel. My only spot would be to put it in the aisleway right between all the barking dogs so that they can just be terrified in there. Also, I just don't believe in it because people are concerned about their dogs who sit in a crate for 8 hours a day. If I have to take dogs and put them in crates, they're going to sit in crates for like 23 hours a day, nonstop. Like we might get them out for a potty break, but that's going to be it. Because if we're that full that we're going to be popping dogs into crates, then we're not going to have time for them. We're not going to have time to help them. And they're not sleeping with all those barking dogs on both sides of them, okay? So I personally, I've seen people do that. I've seen places do that. I've seen them get in over their head. Here's the thing. It never stops. You could pop up 10 kennels thinking that it's just this moment. But I promise you, the minute you get a regular kennel open and take one of those dogs out of that cage and put it in a kennel, because that's the difference. A kennel is a run and a cage is a square box that's not very big. Someone's going to come along and want me to put their dog in that crate. People who think that 8 hours in a crate is too long, but they will be glad to give it to me and stick it in a crate for 23 hours. I know, I've made this argument and they're still fine with it. And I'm like, well, I'm not. It's not good for the staff. It's not good for the animals. If you want to make an animal aggressive and stressed out and unadoptable, stick them in a cage 23 hours a day or longer, because some shelters can't even get them all out except to clean their crate, and see how quickly they go downhill. So I don't do it because it won't solve the problem. It's not going to make the dogs better. It's going to make euthanasia rates go up. It's going to make things dangerous for the staff. It's going to make dogs unadoptable that people will not adopt. So I'm not going to perpetuate that situation. Now, there are dog pounds out there and even some rescues that could say no, that choose to do those things. That is their policy. That is up to them. And that is what they live with. I have seen all of it. And this is, I don't have it in me to do it. I don't. And if you think it's okay, then you need to come and work at my shelter and see how hard it is on dogs to live in a kennel run with an inside and an outside. So they have like 6 by 4 feet inside and 12 by 4 feet outside. And they still lose their minds eventually, okay? So you're not going to convince me that a crate for 23 hours a day for weeks on end is a good idea. That's called being alive, and it is not. It is not living, and we just don't do it. So, anyways, so there you go. A little refresher. It's been almost a year since my euthanasia post. Again, we do not euthanize for space, but I'm not adopting out a dangerous dog, and I'm not going to let a dog medically suffer. So that is our policy. The dog pounds policy is they do not do the 3-day and then euthanize unless the dog is aggressive. Okay? And again, who's going to the dog pound to take out the aggressive dog if the owner's not coming? I don't think any of you are. So what would be the point in keeping an aggressive dog in a kennel for weeks or months, hoping some unicorn person wants an aggressive dog? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to look at them and be like, why would you want that? I would be concerned about why they would think that that was okay. I know there are some people out there who, if they have the space, would take a dog like that and work with them. But most people already have that one dog that they can have, and they have to wait for that dog to pass before they could do another because of the issues. So you need to think about those things. The dog pound is not the devil. The dog pound did not create these issues. The dog pound is not the problem. The problem is dogs being loose. If your dogs are home, you don't have to go to the dog warden and pick them up. And if an accident happens, I understand that. It is what it is. You go pick up your dog, pay your fine, be done with it, because we are in charge of them. It is our job to take care of them and keep them in. Same as if our teenagers were out running around. When they're teenagers, it comes back on the parents because we're in charge. And yeah, dogs and teenagers sometimes can be just as hard to keep in. So I totally get it. But anyways, so that's it. I'm going to finish up what I'm doing. I'm going to finally go to work and hope that my back doesn't seize back up. Have a good day.